In exercise 4.8 we want to collect a list of grades and student name, and we want to display at the end of execution of our program which student has the highest grade. So we are going to decompose our problem as follows. First, we are going to have a loop in this code. The loop is going to iterate n times. Okay, so iterate n times the following code. N is going to be the number of students. So we start by read the number of students n. So that's easy enough to do. Then we are going to iterate n time. What are we going to do in our loop? We are going to read student name. So typo here, student name. Read student grade. And then we are going to track best student name and grade so that we can display it at the end. At the end of our program, display best student name, and we are done. So this is the outline. This is how you analyze your program. This is the outline of what you have to do. Now, reading the number of student n in a class, that's boilerplate code. Scanner s equal new scanner system dot in. So with this, we have now a scanner which allows us to read integer. System.out.println. We are going to say enter the number of students in this course. Semicolon, space, and then we are going to read the next int from the keyboard. We are going to assign this to a variable, let's call it n, okay, which we need to declare. So int n equal s dot next int. Iterate n times. So always the same classical question to ask yourself for designing program with loop. Do I need counter control? Do I need sentinel control? Well, given the fact that the problem states repeat n times, this is going to be counter controlled. Second question, do I need to do for or while loop, that is test early loops, or do I need to do a do while loop, which is a late test loop? Well, in the case of counter controlled loops, it rarely matters. Think about it this time. Does it matter if you test before to execute at least once? No. So we're going to go for, instance, a for loop. Okay, we want to iterate n times, so this should be like immediate now for you. For int I equals 0, this is a pattern of a counter control loop that iterates n times. I lesser than n, I plus plus. And then I have the body of my loop here. What am I going to do in the body of my loop? All those things here that are commented out. Save. I have so far something that I could compile. It doesn't necessarily contain enough for me to test, but I'm going to do just that. I'm going to go in my Conqueror window, and I'm going to do a Java C. I should have this somewhere actually. Java C exercise 4.8 Java. It compiles. Not much to test yet, but for now we're good. Go back to the code. Now, there are several things I need to do here. Read a student name, read the student grade, and track which one is the best student so far. So I'm going to start by reading the student name. s.next, and this one is new. You could achieve the same result using the GUI component. You already know how to do that. I'm going to teach you here how to do this with the scanner, with the console. How do I read a line of text? I call the next line method of my scanner. Where do I store it? Well, I need a temporary string here to store just the student name. I don't assign that to a best student name variable yet because I don't know if this is going to be the best student. Okay. Similarly, the grade is going to be stored in a student grade variable, and I know already how to read the next integer type as a user. It's s.next int. It would be nice if I could have here .out.println print. It would be neat if I could have here a little message saying enter student number, and then I'm going to add here the value of I, student number I, name. And that's it. Just a little prompt so that I know what I'm supposed to type. And same thing here. I'm going to go back. I'm going to cut and paste this. Come here, paste, and this time I'm going to ask for the student number I grade. Alright, I can test this time. Something is going to happen on the screen. So I go back to this window, Java C. I execute my program, enter the number of students in this course, 3. Enter student number 0 name. Well, I'll have to fix that. Okay, this is not really great. I should start my numbering of student at 1. You notice also that I didn't type anything, but apparently the enter here was like skipped. So what is the grade of that student? I'm going to say 13. Once again, the enter the name is skipped here for some reason. I enter 20, and at least my loop is working. But I have like two issues here. First, the numbering of student. Then the fact that the name here is never read from my scanner. So I'm going to go back to my code and I'm going to fix what is relatively easy. Okay, I want to iterate n times. Well, I can start at 0 and stop at n, or I can start at 1 and stop when I am lesser than equal to n. And I'm going to test this to make sure it's working. So I'll go back to my Conqueror window, Java C, Java. This is still not working. Okay, the name is still going to not be working, but I'm going to enter grades 90, 93, 99. Okay, the count is good, the student numbering is good. Now I just need to fix this problem. Well, this problem is due to the way that I've been using the scanner function. So we're going to dig into that. What we're going to do with this program is we are going to actually modify the way that we are using the next line call to the call to the method next line. Next line is taking everything from the input until a \n, until a carriage return that you obtain by hitting enter. What's happening here, and this is a little beyond the scope of this course, but what's happening here is that when we enter our integer here, we hit enter at the end of our line. We type, for example, 90 as a number of student, enter. Well, next int is going to use 90 and is going to leave enter in the input buffer of our system. So when I ask for the next line, I get an empty line, no matter what I typed after that enter followed by another enter. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to here read the next token, and we'll see what this does exactly to our program. So I'm going to call next simply on my scanner just to get the name, okay? And then for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider every student to be the best student. So when I reach the end, I'm going to say system.out.println, and I'm doing that right now just to give me an output of what I read, to make sure I read it correctly. System.out.println, best student name is followed by, well, for now I'm going to use student name. So the last student name I'm entering will be the best student name, and I'm following that by best student name is blah 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 with a grade of, and this is not asked of me in the exercise, but I'm doing that to make sure that the grade is also correctly read. Okay, I'm going to space this out for readability. I'm going to save and I'm going to test this. So first thing, Java C. Couple of problems here: student name, student grade unknown symbols. I'm going back to my code. Well, this is because I declare them here and here inside of my loop. Okay, so when you declare things like that in a curly brace block of code, they exist only inside the curly brace block of code. So instead, what I'm going to do here, since I need to use them outside, I'm going to declare them here. There goes student name, there goes student grade. I'm going to align this for readability. And there we go, a little typo here. Let me catch that real fast. Student grade here. I save. I'm going to remove the declaration here, but still use the variable since it exists now in my entire program. I'm going to save, go back to Conqueror, and I'm going to Java C compile. Next problem, variable student name might not have been initialized. Well, if we look at our code, because student name is actually inside of this loop here, Java doesn't really understand what's going on inside of the loop, and is not going to be sure that we are going to be one day even getting something out of our scanner to initialize it with. So I'm going to do the initialization by hand here, and while I'm at it, I'm going to say that the best grade is -1. Next step, go back to Conqueror, compile again. Now it's compiling. Now let's try to run it and turn off the number of students in this course, 3. Enter student number 1 name. This time I have an opportunity, John. Grade 90. Name Smith. Grade 80. Third name Doe. Grade 99. And we have here the best student name is Doe, the last one entered with a grade of 99. So right now we're making progress, okay? We have something that is working, compiling. However, we do not track the best student name and grade. We just track pretty much the last student name and grade. So what are we going to do about this? Well, okay. I made the declaration of my variable appear here simply because I wanted to be able to use them outside of the loop. So because they are declared inside of this block of code, I can use them anywhere inside this block of code. Well, I'm not going to really use student name or student grade. I'm going to need instead best student name and best student grade. Okay, so these are the variables I want to be able to use here to display at the end the best student name and the best student grade. Now I still need a temporary variable here, which I'm going to redeclare, that do not need to be seen outside of this loop. So they are declared inside of this block of code, and this is fine. This is where they belong. Now those are the ones that are going to be visible inside the loop and after at the end of my program. Now, how am I going to test to keep track of the best student name and grade? Well, obviously, if you give me a grade, I need to check it and compare it to the current best student grade. My best student grade is initialized to -1. Why? Because there is no way a grade can be not bigger than -1. So by default, the first time I iterate my loop, you give me a student grade and a student name. I'm going to say if student grade is greater than best student grade, if the grade you just gave me is greater than the current best student grade, then I have a new best student. What does that mean? That means that the name of the best student, that is the variable best student name, is going to be equal to what is the name I just read. And the best student grade so far, well, because you just showed me that the current student grade is better than the best student grade, I'll overwrite it. So this is how we are going to proceed. And why is it important to initialize to -1? Because by doing so, I'm sure that no matter how bad the grade of the first student is, it's going to still beat that default initialized value. Therefore, the first student, no matter how poorly he or she performed, is going to be the best student, the currently best student. And then as we iterate, the second student is going to maybe have a better grade, and then it will replace the best student here, etc., etc. So, okay, we have so far a piece of code here that makes sense, but we need to test it to make sure it's doing what we want it to do. So I'm going to save, and I'm going to go back to Conqueror, and I'm going to compile again, and I'm going to run it. Number of students in this course, 3. The first one, I'm going to call it 1. Grade is 90. It should be the best one so far. 2 is going to have a grade, 2 is going to have a grade of 80. Student 3 is going to have a grade of 99. The best student is 3 with a grade of 99. Let's run it again. I want to make sure it's not the last student that is systematically the best one. So I'm going to call the first one 1, grade of 90. 2, grade of 80. 3, grade of 70. Best student is 1 with a grade of 90. Okay, so it seems like it's working so far. Last test, just to make sure I exhaust my possibility for 3 students. 1 is going to be 70. 2 is going to be 90. 3 is going to be 80. Best student is 2. Okay, so I think we have good, reasonable evidence here that the code is working. So next thing we can test, we can run this code here. I'm going to do that now. Number of students in the course, 0. Best student name is nothing with a grade of -1. Well, that's correct, okay, but that is not really clean. So what I'm going to add here is if, and I want to see how many students I had. Okay, so if n is 0, I'm going to display system.out.println no students in that specific course, and I'm done. Else, then I will display the information about the best student. Okay, so there we go. Now I can test again my program real quick. Little connection problem here. There we go. Compile once again. There we go. And now execute. 0 student in this course, no student in that specific course. And then if I have, of course, well, I'm not going to redo the test, but if you redo the test that we did with a free student, you're going to find that we have exactly the same behavior occurring there. So we are pretty much done with that specific program.